Pule Hill looms over Marsden, blocking off the end of the Con Valley like a wall. Long before the Roman era, it presented a formidable obstacle to the movement of people and goods across this part of northern England. Whilst there were almost certainly ancient pre-Roman trackways over Stanage and Pule Hill, none of these survive, unless hidden beneath the deep layers of peat. So the Romans were the first to survey and construct a proper road over this demanding terrain. It was the kind of engineering challenge that they were more than capable of dealing with. How long their road remained in use after the end of Roman Britain is impossible to assess, and it was not until the 18th century that the next attempt to create a route suitable for horse-drawn vehicles was attempted, replacing the pack-horse trails which could no longer cope with the weight and volume of goods being moved back and forth between Yorkshire and Lancashire. Blind Jack Metcalfe of Knaresborough built this first turnpike over Pule Hill in the 1750s. It followed what is now Old Mount Road. But its steep gradients forced a rethink, and a second turnpike over the hill was built a few hundred yards to the south, climbing round the side of Pule Hill on a much shallower gradient. This is the present-day Mount Road. But this too proved unsatisfactory, and following the construction of the new turnpike from Huddersfield along the valley bottom of Colne Valley in the 1820s, a third road over Pule Hill was built round the north side, which today is the A62 trunk road. On this image of Pule Hill, the Roman road is at the top, marked in red. Then comes the first turnpike, now Old Mount Road, marked in yellow, with the second turnpike, Mount Road, marked in blue. In a series of pioneering digs carried on throughout the 1970s and the 1980s, the Huddersfield Archaeological Society established beyond all doubt the actual route taken by the Roman road from Castleshaw to Slack. This climbed from Castleshaw Fort at Delph up to Stanage, where the Romans then hacked out a cutting through the rock so that the road could reach the boggy plateau. In the next three images, we can see the route from the cutting at Stanage across to Gilbert's. Roman engineers were brilliant surveyors of the landscape, and they recognised that this was the best site to cross the Pennines, thanks to this very narrow area of bog at this point. It is still possible to walk on a stretch of the Roman road at Thieves' Clough, on top of which Blind Jack also built his first turnpike road. Whether he was aware of his Roman predecessors is not known. From Gilbert's, the Romans routed their road high up on the side of Pule Hill, presumably to avoid the boggy terrain and to ensure adequate drainage for the road. Much later quarrying has destroyed sections of the road here, but bits and pieces were found and excavated by the HDAS in the 1980s. With this latest dig, in the summer of 2015, Nick Brooke and his team were determined to try to find traces of the road as close to Marsden as possible, and a likely site was opened up close to the ancient Manor farm. And here we can see Nick and his team of diggers making their way through Manor Farm towards the excavation site, which just lies over the brow of the hill on the right of this image. Manor Farm, the present buildings of which date from the early 18th century, was also once known as High Gate, which might be significant in the context of the Roman road. For here, the word gate means, of course, road. And can it be mere coincidence that this ancient settlement, with such a name, is situated so close to the site of the Roman road? The site of the present dig offers a commanding view over Marsden, with Bank Bottom Mill dominating the scene in the central background. Whilst a little further up is Butterley Reservoir with its overspill channel. Yorkshire Water's plan to replace this stone structure with concrete is at present being bitterly contested. At this point, the Roman road occupies a remarkably flat stretch of terrain, curving up the hill towards the summit of Pule Hill. Was this level area deliberately carved out of the hillside by the Roman engineers as a suitable basis for their road? Following the probable line of the Roman road, downhill, past Manor Farm, towards Marsden itself, it would seem to be aiming directly at Town Gate in Marsden. And there's that word gate again. Now something of a quiet backwater, it was formerly a busy and important part of town, one of the main routes in and out. This is the view looking up at the site of the trench from Blind Jack's First Turnpike Road, Old Mount Road, which is situated about 100 yards below the Roman road on the hillside. The full story of the discovery and excavation of the Roman road from Castleshore to Slack is told in this HDAS publication. There are still a few copies available. Alternatively, this CD offers a pictorial coverage of the whole route and the sites of the various excavations.